to really hear from them what their views are on e-commerce and social media and what it's like for them to be small business owners. So I would love for this to be a really interactive panel where we have questions that come in from you guys, and we can kind of go around the horn and answer them, sort of in order. But just to kick it off, wanted to introduce people on our panel. So do you want to get started?
Sure. My name is Catherine, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of New York Superfoods. So we deal with chia-based snacks. Everything we do is vegan, non-GMO. We do peanut butters and health bites. And we've been working with you guys since November 2011.
Great.
My name is Jackie Lee. I'm the co-founder and president of Grand Central Beauty. It's a small skincare line based here in New York City. We primarily deal with very niche, high-end retailers. And this is one of the first broader e-commerce space that we're working with. I've personally been in the industry for a long time in marketing for the skincare and luxury high-end beauty industry. And we've been with you guys for about 2 weeks now.
Welcome.
Hi, my name is Anna Donato, and this is my husband, Juan. And together we own Goose Grease, and we paint wooden dolls as wedding cake toppers, as well as for families, and then we have a line of DIY kits. We primarily sell online through other platforms, and we've been on OpenSky now for about 2 days. So
we need 19 followers.
And a bit about our story is that he's Colombian, so our dolls are coming from a carpenter in a small shop in Colombia, and we bring them here on a fair trade agreement. We have some artisans who are helping us there, so we're kind of exporting them in small batches, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, we just took a step towards a more personalized approach to the product, so there's no intermediaries. We know the carpenters. We've had drinks with them, and we've shaken their hands, so it's kind of like the approach of a more, I guess we can call it a human approach to the products we make, and it's not an anonymous factory-made aspect, so what we want is that maybe to, exploit that aspect of this platform in this regard.
All right, so I wanted to kick it off with just talking a little bit broadly about e-commerce as a whole. How do you guys view e-commerce? Like, who do you go to first? How do you value all the different players? Maybe Catherine, we'll start with you.
I mean, for us, OpenSky was our first online platform, and I made the mistake of scheduling our first sale 2 weeks before our wedding, and so that was a very interesting time, having 600 jars of peanut butter in my apartment as we were, getting ready to get married. So,
sorry.
And my husband, who's also my business partner, said to me, "Why would you do this?" And I said, "I don't know, but it's great that we have all of these orders coming in." And it was, but it was just full on. And in terms of online platforms, I love alternative distribution channels. My business model is such that we're looking more towards supermarkets and grocery stores, the mom and pop independent health food stores. I mean, that's where we tend to sell a lot. But I love getting exposure out there to people who may never have heard of us online. So you asked about other platforms. So OpenSky was our first. We've also done a few sales with Fab.com. Our products can be found on Abe's Market. We've done some stuff with Delicious Karma in the past. I'm trying to think who else. I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff. Of course, Amazon. We used to have our own marketplace on Amazon. Now we have the grocery buyer buying from us. So that's a little bit of a shift that we're just starting out in the last few weeks. But I love it as an alternative distribution channel. It's not going to be the main focus of our business model, but definitely will be a portion of it, a significant portion.
What about you, Beth?
As I mentioned before, this is really like the first broader e-commerce platform we've used. Also, we usually deal more with brick and mortar. Sure. We usually deal a little bit more with brick and mortar because it's a little bit more high-end skincare. It's still a very personal type of business, and there's been a big shift in the last couple of years for beauty moving on tremendously to, e-commerce and social media and everything. So we've been working, well, actually our company's only been around for about a year and change. So we deal a lot more socially with bloggers and the editors, and we found that route has brought more traffic to our personal website. Up until now, we weren't with any e-commerce. We were dealing more with, once again, the brick and mortar stores, the high-end. We're actually in New York in Henry Bendel on 5th Avenue. We just recently launched in a high-end boutique in Santa Monica, Fred Siegel, New Beauty at Fred Siegel. Those are more like the premier prestige for beauty, which is great. It's great for exposure, but you may not necessarily do the volume that we want to be doing. So for branding, it was very important to be in these places. What we found with OpenSky, which was very, very surprising, in that nobody's really heard of us, on a broad basis. When we first opened the store, in the first 2 days, we already got sales, actually, coming in, and these were new customers. They weren't even from our regular customers. So that was very exciting and definitely opened a whole new perspective for us, and it's definitely something we're going to delve more in. Before this, the only other thing that we did more online-wise is something called, you asked what else we work with, Beauty Army. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. It's more like a sampling subscription service, whereas we supplied a lot of samples to their customers. A lot of people, try our samples, do reviews, they do purchase from there, but not to the extent or even the response that we've gotten in a short time with OpenSky, which is very exciting.
That's great. And what about you, Anna?
We actually began online through Etsy, as you asked. So that one, we pretty much began there, and then it's been kind of going since then. And so now from that, we're going more into the brick and mortar shops. But
I'm struggling because Anna's saying everything I can say. But yeah, we started on Etsy, and it's been more of for us, a development of going from online to brick and mortar instead of otherwise. And well, I mean, the thing about our shop is that we have two, as she was explaining, we have two branches. One is where we have a custom, personalized, higher-end set of dolls, where people send us photographs, and we had, recently some exposure because through somebody else's company, we got some dolls to Kourtney Kardashian, and she Instagrammed, and it became like a big deal. But then we have the do-it-yourself.
So for us, the advantage of the online platform is that we can have a personal relationship with the customers all over, everywhere, all over the world. So I think that, in terms of like a conversation and email type of way, the online, other online distribution places allow us to personally connect with the customer. And also we've done other sites like One Kings Lane, and that, I think having like them having their giant customer base gives us the type of exposure that we wouldn't normally have on our own. So I think doing those types of sales is also beneficial because...
Yeah, now actually at the moment we're in another site, a smaller site, but a little bit more artisanally focused. It's called Brickyard Buffalo. I don't know if people know it. And that's why we're waiting to, focus our social media on one event at a time, because right now we're undergoing this event, but
yeah, so that's a good point. So I know you guys all mentioned sort of a wide range of other places where you are distributed online. How do you decide what the next place that you want to distribute online is? Because there are marketplaces and there are flash sale sites and there's your own site. How do you go about kind of like assessing what the benefits or drawbacks of each of those are, and how do you make that decision as a small business owner where you want to dedicate your time? Maybe Anna, and we'll start with you.
I think what I think is interesting is how each site has their own sort of customer persona. So for us, because our product is completely handmade, and that's a very big part of our brand, that, you know, for us, Etsy was kind of like the natural way because it's, you know, handmade and everything. But then I think being introduced to OpenSky is for us an interesting step because we see that things in OpenSky are more, you know, there are things made in factories and whatever. So for us, getting into that atmosphere, I think, is an interesting sort of bridge.
We can add something to the marketplace, and also, you know, since Will contacted us, I was excited about the idea because, I mean, I don't want to betray my own background because I'm a philosopher, but it felt to me like it was like a natural progression, almost, you know, as they say, dialectical between getting Twitter and getting a marketplace and putting them together and getting a marketplace with followers, etc., etc. So I was almost naturally inclined to the idea of, seemed to me, you know, 1 + 2 = 3. So the simplicity of it all made it an interesting option for us, and I started like, you know, getting more and more involved with the idea, and I thought that this could be something where, as we started seeing the options, the possibilities, that we could add something to the range of products that were being, so that's why we decided to go into this more full force.
Yeah. And what about you, Jackie? How do you decide where you're going to go after new distribution or get new online distribution?
As far as online goes, I think what they were saying, you know, the personal aspect is very important, especially in beauty. I mean, beauty shopping, a lot of it is impulsive, but I deal almost strictly with skincare, which is a lot more niche and requires a lot more education for the customer. So working with, or whoever we work with, has to have that relationship with the customer, has to have the people talking, or at least a word of mouth. The main reason we went on OpenSky was actually we were referred by one of your I guess spokes business people, Indy Lee. She was fantastic. She does a great job with you guys to work with you guys. Also, the aspect of really engaging the customers, getting them talking to each other and talking to us about what they're looking for in skincare was so important, because we're not a makeup line. We're not just like an impulsive, oh, that's pretty, let me just buy it for a few dollars. You know, where, you know, we have price points. We have 2 products only right now. It's one is $38, the other is $75. You know, it's not a low-end line. It's not super high-end, but it definitely requires people to do a little bit more research, or at least hear what other people are saying.
Great. And Kathy, what about you?
Well, the first thing I look at is the demographic. You know, who's looking at this site? Is this going to get me a lot of exposure, a little? And for me, it's always about time. Like, how much time is it going to take me to put this stuff together? Because it's only my husband and I doing this. It's not like we have a full staff of people we can rely upon. So to give you an example, Groupon reached out to us earlier this week. So I had a call with them yesterday, and I thought my issue with Groupon would be cost. I thought they would be asking for like 70% off. So I was kind of negative going into the call. And it wasn't actually the cost that was the issue. For them, it was consignment. So as a small business owner, I don't have a lot of inventory laying around just to do consignment. So even though the exposure, so that's another thing I look at, demographic, exposure, you have to weigh everything. But because they want to do consignment, that's something that would be not, for me at this stage, not something I would be agreeable to doing. That and their payment terms are net 60, so that was not good either.
So I'll pause there. Do you guys have questions for these guys based on some of the stuff you've heard so far?
Yeah, just kind of going off of that, how much?
That's okay. Go first.
How much is like logistics and that kind of stuff, like either a deterrent or like an encouragement as far as like deciding to do business?
I mean, freight to me, freight can kill you, like in terms of your margins. And so I know OpenSky has changed, but we do a variety pack with you guys now. And I think I'm definitely going to have to continue doing a variety pack. So we sell items on Abe's Market, and now we just switched to dropship. So I have a warehouse, so I'm not so worried about logistics because my warehouse will get that stuff out. I'm worried about how much money I'm going to have to pay for all this and how it's going to cut into my margins, right? So it's just a matter of how do you structure your sales. Like on Abe's Market, I'm doing like single items, and I need to change that. I need to switch it to all variety packs. and I want to expand my marketplace on OpenSky. And I realized with freight being the way it is, it's all going to have to be variety packs, because to send a jar of peanut butter to California and then to pay $9 for the freight, I mean, it's just, I'm not making any money off that. The exposure is valuable to a certain extent, but not over many orders. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There are questions? Yeah.
I'm Chris, I'm one of the engineers building the site. I have a question about just generally with e-commerce, what challenges you faced selling through the web, and also any specific bad experiences you've had?
I have a comment on that. I have a question. Is there any way that we can add another email address so that we could put our warehouse on it so they could automatically get the orders? Because that would be so helpful. Because right now we forward the items, and that's fine. But if we're on a business trip for a few days, then that kind of, I don't want anything to slip through the cracks. I mean, if you can add another field so that 2 people can receive the emails, the orders, that would be great.
Yeah. Well, Anthony will work through that with you. Yeah, definitely. Any other questions? Ria?
I was going to say yes.
Oh. Ria can help you.
I just want to expand a little bit on the consignment thing, just real quick. As a small business owner, I mean, consignment, obviously margins is a big thing, but you've got to think about us, with limited distribution. We don't have a lot of places to sell it. So if a place is asking us to do consignment, you have to have that inventory ready to sell through, because that's, Groupon, for example, is a big thing. So, and for us in our industry, for example, it could be like a home shopping network or a QVC or that type of business. It sounds great, you can do millions, but if you don't sell through that product, there's no way for us to get rid of it after and liquidate it. So that can actually destroy a company, because all your funds are going to go into creating this inventory, having it sit there. So if it doesn't sell through, whether it's the platform or us, whatever, if it doesn't work, then that's pretty much the end of us. That's where all our money goes.
Are there any other questions for these guys? Besides?
So, you're on multiple platforms. Personally, how do you allocate your time for, spend this amount of time on this side, this amount of time on this side? And how do you prioritize your time and which sites?
It depends on the order, right? A lot of orders, we prioritize a lot of orders. That's as simple as that.
More orders, more time, basically,
Sorry?
More orders equals more time?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on, where the most traffic is coming from. So if, for us, if, just wherever the most traffic comes from, then, and the other thing is managing the search. So for example, for Etsy, in order to be seen, there, several times a day we're renewing the listing. So this is a small scale idea, but so that is just to be seen on their search sites. And sometimes, it's not necessary to do, but sometimes we do that. And so if that's where we know the orders are going to come through, then we'll focus on that. But if OpenSky, I don't know how the search engine goes, how you get, I haven't really experimented with that too much. But how to get sort of seen on the search engines there, but that's definitely something that having a site on an e-commerce
Visibility,
site,
visibility. Visibility is another time expenditure, that's for sure.
Did you guys want to address that as well? Or?
I mean, like for example, Fab, when that sale is coming up, right? So I know a few weeks before the Fab sale, I've got to do the spreadsheets, I've got to make sure all the item summaries are correct and the pricing is correct, and make sure that I'm working with my rep to, make sure everything is correct. So, and of course with OpenSky, it was kind of running itself for a while, but then we had to build the marketplace. So things come up and then things change, and you always have to be aware of that. Well, what's going on now? You can't grow complacent. You always have to make sure you're reading your emails and making sure you're, as long as, and you guys have been great at communicating, well, now it's ready to be set up, and my husband didn't really have a problem doing everything, to put the marketplace together. But again, as a small business owner, it's kind of like, what do I have to do today? What has to be done right now?
Great. Kevin?
If you could choose one social platform and one commerce platform, what would you choose in both that was the most successful for you, that you believe is most successful, and why
And what's determining that measure of success for you?
Social, I mean, I really enjoy Twitter, but because, I mean, right now we're just about to get into a larger chain, grocery store chain. So my return on investment in Twitter, I'm not so sure if I can quantify that because not everyone can just go into a store and pick up my product right now. The accessibility is not there yet. But I enjoy Twitter. I like getting my name out there and just putting, you know, like we're a non-GMO company, so I like posting things about that, and people care about that in the natural food world. In terms of the platform, again, it's different ways of measuring it in terms of exposure and sales. You know, Abe's Market is great because it's a natural online supermarket. Another online platform that we work with is Iron, and they seem to get a lot of exposure, and they order way more than other online platforms do.
What's that? Is that?
Iron? Yeah, I hadn't heard of them before, but they reached out to me, and their orders are always like sizable. They're out in California. So, but not much time goes into that because they give me the order, I process it, and the warehouse puts the pallet together and it goes. So, I don't know if that really answered your question. I'm not sure.
What about you guys, Jackie?
For me, I mean, once again, OpenSky is really one of the only ones e-commerce-wise we deal with, and I've been happy with it so far. As far as social, Twitter has brought us the most media attention as far as bloggers and just in general, like industry, you know, putting like little bits of news out there. But as far as customers go, Facebook actually has brought us the most loyal customers. So that's actually worked out for us. Even though we don't have a huge following on Facebook, we've already had multiple repeat customers within 1 year for skincare from Facebook. And as a matter of fact, one of the sales even from well, a couple of them were from Facebook, from OpenSky.
And what about you guys?
Instagram.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Because we're really into the artistic aspect of, I mean, and I'm a photographer, so we're exploiting that side of it. So we decided that we would just create a little, I mean, our criteria was a small gallery on Instagram so people could just enjoy, you know, the art, as it were, in terms of a lifestyle and our studio and et cetera, et cetera. So Instagram, and I mean, for now, the one that works for us the best is Etsy. And but as I'm saying, I'm excited about OpenSky because of this conceptual unity that seems a natural progression. So.
Josh, did you have a question?
Yeah, so you guys are all at different sort of stages of the OpenSky. So you've been with us for 2 years, but a week, a month. So 90 days from now, what are some of the things, whether there's exact metrics or maybe something that's more qualitative, that you'll look at as OpenSky being successful or not?
I just want to make sure that the exposure, because I feel like in the beginning, we had great exposure, and I'm not saying that past tense like something has changed, but I just want to make sure that we can continue the exposure on the site so people can find us. And I need to figure out, now that it's switched over, how can that continue so that people can find us, and that, you know, we added new products to the site. I want to get our likes up on that. Luckily, our likes transferred from the old model to the new model, thank God. So it's just kind of like, we're just trying to figure out, you know, how is it going to work going forward? And I don't know in terms of, I don't know if we can ask you guys questions, but I mean, how best as retailers can we do that? I mean, how can we grow our exposure with you guys? Is there, I mean, I don't know if it's something that has to be worked out in the months to come, or if you have a plan, I mean, or just email us, I don't know.
Does anyone care to take
I'll
that?
take that one. So I'm John, one of the founders. What we're trying, I think you nailed exactly what our dream is, right? Which is this conceptual coming together of connections and commerce, right? In some way, in an old-fashioned way, the way going into a store in your neighborhood would be, or having a collection of stores that you connect to because they're personal to your taste or your interest. And I think Josh's question is a really important one, because we're trying to build the functionality that lets you engage, run your, and having merchants bring lots of followers from their existing platforms, and then having you play the game of OpenSky in some ways, which is getting the people you're connected to love your things so they get amplified to those people's connections and those folks' connections. Just like on Instagram, right? If I'm following you on Instagram and I like one of your photos, right, that gives you feedback, which is nice to get, but also broadcast it more broadly. And I think one of the things we look at over the next period, right, Chris and his gang are working on this, which is giving you the ability to message into the feeds of your followers content that isn't just commercial, right? Because,
that'd be great.
And that requires a merchant being comfortable. Actually, this isn't a store. We don't think of ourselves as building a store. I think it's going to be hard for us to communicate with someone who's been working with us for 2 years, because the first 23 months of our relationship we were a store. But we don't think of ourselves as a store. We think of ourselves as a utility for you to build your store. And we got a lot of work to do to figure out how to communicate that. And have the functionality, but also for you to go build your OpenSky. If we get it right, you'll wake up in the morning and think, this is my way to engage with people who want to engage around my brand. We won't be our only point of distribution, at least not yet, but we will be we'll be the place you engage with those most passionate around your brand.
And I always have time for that, so that's great.
That is the great thing. That's the great thing.
Chris.
My name is also Chris. I'm part of the team that built the merchant toolkit, so thanks for your patience as we develop that work out. So my question for you is, if you were receiving 10 direct messages or emails or communications a day from shoppers on OpenSky who maybe wanted your product details, maybe they want to know just what materials you use to paint the doll, because they're curious, the artists themselves, whatever kind of conversation it is, it's something speculative, but how do you feel about that? Would you look forward to going through spending those days answering that, or do you feel like at a certain point you'd be thinking you want to be spending more of your time selling the products? It would be interesting to hear how you feel about more communication with people who are shopping and just exploring your products.
I think I would make the time for that, because I think that's really important to engage and also just to get feedback. We've had. We started off with many more, flavors of our peanut butters, and then, in time you learn what sells, what doesn't sell, what people like, and it's so invaluable. Like I would always, I think, make the time for that. Of course, there's a tipping point of, okay, I'm getting 500 messages a day, but for the most part, I love answering emails and engaging with the customer or potential customer.
Want to address
yeah, actually, before you ask that question, I was about to ask you guys if that's a possibility, because, through the other platform that we work with, for example, many times we get wholesale orders from that site, and we know that it comes from them because it's through the combo feature. So that comes directly from there, and you can sort of measure that and see where that's coming from. And trace it, and then being able to answer customers' questions, and then to be able to customize the order for them in our business model is really important. So
yeah, and I think I think Anna would agree that if we had a body of information that the customer could access easily without any problems, so that we don't have to repeat the whole spiel, then that's fine. If it's an extra question about something else, an exception, this and that, then I don't think we have problems with that. But as long as it's we construct on a platform of information to the customer, then I think that's.
I think what is that there is like the about page where you can put that, but on the very front page of the store, I think there's a little blurb where you can write something, but it's really small, so you can maybe only put like a sentence there. But if that had the possibility to expand so that you could, without having to click on an about page, that you could find the website or even click to join the Facebook of our company or whatever, if that could be sort of on the front shop page, I think
information.
that would help with the customer's accessibility.
So that brings me to another question, which is how do you guys today get feedback from customers of yours, whether they're wholesale customers or customers you get in other marketplaces? How do you collect that feedback? Do you talk to them face to face? Do you email with them? Are you on Facebook? What's your primary sort of method of getting that feedback, and then how does that affect decisions that you make in your business?
Usually I get emails through our website. You know, it's like info@nysuperfoods.com, and it comes in, and I reply to those emails myself, and I usually do it within 24 hours. I try to get the reply out. Because orders can come through that, you know, stores that are looking for our products, but also people who might have a complaint, or people who might say, wow, I really like your product, just wanted to let you know. So it's everything. So that's the primary way. But of course, there's always Twitter as well, and Facebook as well.
What about you, Jeff?
The same thing through our email, through our website. We have a dedicated info, which I myself answer most of the time. And we actually ask them questions. A lot of times they come asking us questions, but we ask them questions back. Any time there's a question is an opportunity for us to sell, so we don't look at it like, oh, it's just, answering another question. It would be great if we can have a place where we have like FAQs where we can, answer them so we're not repeating ourselves. Yes, that would be awesome. But, all the information we gather, I personally, we do try to apply back, into our, whether it's our collateral, our, copy, our website. Recently we've had a lot of people say, oh, I've heard so much about you online, and, I'm on a lot of blogs and I see a lot of your reviews. Great. So now here I find myself at the response of every email, oh, which blog? Where have you been hearing about us? And now we're actually taking that and putting it into our customer inquiry form. Where exactly did you hear about us where it wasn't there before? So because these questions come up, we'll apply it into our own method of communication with them.
Kevin, do you have another question? Sorry, Randall. Does anyone have any other questions? These guys, Mike.
Mike for the technology team here at OpenSky. Curious of what third-party online services you may currently be paying for, like Google AdWords or Biden banners or any other third-party services that you are actually currently paying.
We used to do Google AdWords, but not anything right now. No.
Why do you stop?
It just, again, our model is trying to get on the supermarket shelves. I'm not looking to build like an Amazon kind of site. I want to be in grocery stores. So, just for us, it was, you look at the bill every month and say, is this really money well spent for us right now? And for us, it wasn't.
What about you guys, Jackie? Do you do anything?
No, we've considered maybe working with dedicated social media people where we pay for some of those services, but we actually nixed that. We're able to at least manage it ourselves for now. We've considered additional SEO services, but that's pretty much it at this point.
What about you guys, Anna?
We do a small portion of ads through Etsy, but it's like very minimal, and we can manage it monthly. And then, I don't know if this counts, but in terms of like an online service that we pay for is Indicia, and that's what we ship with. So that's...
And a spam block, because we were just getting so much spam.
John?
Do you have your own store set up, online at your own URLs, and who provides that? Where did you get that store?
Google Checkout, is that what you mean? Yeah, Google Checkout.
Or Shopify or Blue?
Yeah, Google Checkout.
We went with something called Moonfruit. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. It's actually, I think, a UK company where, it's your own content management system. You can kind of play around with, your own website. I have just a tad bit of web development background, just, from doing marketing. But I found it super important as a small business owner to actually be able to put my own website together. Even though it's not the ideal, eventually I want to be working with somebody who's going to provide that service and do more web development for us. But whether it's budgeting, financially, it was important for us to do it, or we constantly need to update. Like I was telling you, we update our own website all the time. I cannot afford to spend you know, $100, $500 just to talk to a web developer and say, can you update this for me, and have to sit there and wait. So, you know, timing, urgency, you know, all of that is very important. So little things that we manage on our own website. That's why I went with them. Sorry.
No, right now we're not, we don't have our own shop in our URL.
So another question I had, which is, if you were going to give us advice about where we should find other merchants like yourselves, where would you know, and how to reach them, where should we go?
I mean, in terms of food, I would say New York Mouth. That's actually an online one that we sell through. I mean, I'm just trying to think of, I know I come from the food world, so again, Abe's Market would be one. There's just so many vendors on there.
What about associations or clubs you're part of?
I mean, there's a New York Foodies LinkedIn group that a lot of people go to like every quarter. There's also Brooklyn Bashed, which is another one that's I think changing into what they call Sixth Borough Society, which is going to be a food and beverage online platform for investors and food companies. And of course the trade shows. Expo, I mean that's where I met you guys. Expo East, Expo West.
That's actually a very good one, the dedicated organizations within each industry. There's usually like a directory of commerce, like new businesses. They usually announce also new businesses, which tend to be smaller businesses. So for like the cosmetic organizations, there's a bunch where they print it out annually and you can get all the leads from that. So you know, that's a good one. As I mentioned, the Home Foods and like the Wix, you know, a lot of these are smaller new businesses, so I don't know if, you know, that would apply for you guys, but, you know, those would work.
Yes, in our case, I would have to say to our phone, you know, because we have a very hand-picked merchants that we like, and actually to Hannah's phone, she's the one who keeps all contacts. But,
no, but some blogs,
there's some blogs.
And even like, I don't know if OpenSky is going towards like a handmade, also, you know, incorporating that, but even like Renegade Craft Fair, I mean, you know, a lot of like, that's like basically the biggest fair where people who are doing it not as a hobby, but as their own, you know, full-time business will still do the Renegade Fair. And we were surprised to find that some of like maybe our associations from like the top sellers that we know of on Etsy are not people like that.
I mean, the craft fair thing is very, you know, local. So for instance, for Brooklyn, we would recommend going to this PS 321 fair in December. It's a public school in Park Slope where really great merchants go. So a trip down there could get you, I don't know how many merchants. Yeah, so that's like grassroots stuff.
When I just mentioned, I'm sorry, the cosmetic directories or whatnot, I wasn't actually referring to like going individually to these businesses. I'm actually talking about going directly to the organization and working with them, because what you guys actually provide is a value and a value-added service for new businesses. So I think it would actually be very appealing to have a customer. Basically, you guys would be like, you know, a way for them to sell, you know, as opposed to like individually going through and selling, you know, the service to them. So working with these organizations to provide that service for all of their members.
And Leah, hi, I'm Leah. I run the camera team. What outlets do you guys read on a daily basis? Do you read the New York Times every day? Do you read trade publications? Like, what blogs are you reading?
My Bible is WWD. So that's
right. I guess the other question is, where do you go to get your news? Yeah. Like, do you get it from online stuff, print stuff, word of mouth stuff from friends of yours,
Times, Frames, because it's New York based, so it's nice to see what's going on in New York City. And then food blogs, like Taste. I mean, I get so many. And then from like Expo. You know, Expo West and Expo East, they have their own blogs that they send out all the time on functional ingredients, on natural ingredients, and also investor type newsletters as well.
For us, like a design mom, blog, and even like Martha Stewart from her daily emails. That's kind of where I get like an idea of the craft trends of like sort of what people are interested in. So I guess those two, and then like the Allison Show. It's like a small blog. I mean, but in our like mommy blog world, it's big and small fry also.
Josh, Chris, you have a question?
So just take a step back to what you guys were saying for associations you're a part of or where you would find other people you want to associate yourself with. How likely would you be to tell them about OpenSky?
I mean, I've talked, whenever, especially newer, I've actually introduced a couple of entrepreneurs to OpenSky, so I'm, whenever, you start talking to people and they always say, oh, so where are you sold? And I always make sure that I put on my website the different people I'm working with because I want to promote the people who are promoting our products. I think it just makes sense. So, yeah, all the time I always tell people about OpenSky.
How would you describe it?
What was that?
How would you describe this new crazy thing we're making?
Well, it used to be I would describe the curators and how it worked in that way. And now going forward, I would probably say it's an online marketplace, and I wouldn't, to be honest, I don't know what I would say today. I would have to craft that. You want to help me with that? What do you want me to say?
we're trying to figure it out. I mean, I think what we would want you to say is it's, if Facebook and eBay had a baby, it would be OpenSky, right? It's that fusion of those two different things, of marketplace and connections. But we have homework to do in terms of how we communicate, how to talk about what it is we're creating. And that's because we need to make it succinct, and then if you're happy, you'll hopefully share it, and you and everybody else.
Is there any way on the site, because I'm a food business, and so, like I said, we're certified vegan and non-GMO and gluten-free, and now we're a certified B Corporation. Is there any way to kind of highlight those things? Especially if you're artisanal, maybe you want to highlight artisanal. I don't know if that would come up in a search or just so that when somebody looks at your page, it's very quick to say, oh wow, this company is all of these things. Is that something?
So that one right there with Leslie. Wait.
I mean, right now you can kind of put it into your product details, but I think one of the last pages in our overall experience that we need to overhaul is the product page. So that would definitely be something we could take into consideration.
Plus, maybe some other tags that's coming out and things that will help essentially lead down that path.
Yeah. On the main page that you land on now, like the Explore page, we have like some basic filters where you can switch by category, what's trending or best selling and those things. So we're going to add in sort of a secondary level of filtering. That'll be dependent on what you've already chosen. So if you switch over to food, then vegan might be like a relevant tag to food and it would surface there. So we'll kind of like put basic tags in place and then see sort of like what interesting information is going to like provide the most discovery-based search and exploration. But that's coming soon.
Probably have time for 2 more questions, so Paul.
Yeah, Paul, CFO of OpenSky. I'm just curious, all of you guys have goods that are probably really ready, that you can touch them and feel them and smell them and all those things. So what do you find is the biggest challenge in selling your product online?
Maybe Jackie, maybe you're a good person for that with skincare and beauty.
What actually, I mean, definitely, once again, the personal approach, the smell. We're lucky we have somewhat of a little bit more unique product that we're able to, it's very fun to demonstrate, so we really try to capture, like, in pictures, like, how the person looks with a facial mask product on, for example, and really highlight the graphics or the pictures on that, and, like, lifestyle, more fun things, There's only so much, looking at a jar that you can get from, the product. So I guess more of the lifestyle shots, but making it relevant to the product, because a lot of times you see like these lifestyle shots and it has nothing to do with the product. It just seems really pretty, people standing there. So I guess it's tying those two things together, making it relevant to the product and putting the pictures and graphic-wise, making it fun.
I think that in our case, I mean, I don't want, make a caricature, but just people don't read. That's why we've had so many cases where everything is explicit in, refund policies, shipping policies, the time it takes, etc., etc. And just because it's not there accessible, people don't take the time even when their money is involved, to click to find out exactly the conditions.
And then on an individual basis, we're having to answer questions that if you had just read, you might have, or, so then you have to make sure that the photograph clearly
Explains and that the text is accessible and
because I have like an ebook and people buy it and they think that it's a physical book.
Yeah, we have that. It says PDF. PDF.
And on the photos, you guys do that yourselves, or do you?
I'm sorry?
You do the photos and all stuff yourself, or you outsource all that?
We do.
Yeah, we do a lot of it ourselves, most of it.
Yeah.
All right, last question.
Yeah, I found it interesting what you were saying about using online retail as a way to get into the brick and mortar stores. I wanted to ask the rest of the panel if that was also a strategy for them, and also to ask if that is, or for you, what are you planning to not use online retail anymore going forward once you get into brick and mortar stores, or is that going to be part of your strategy as well?
It'll be definitely part of our strategy, but I think because every time you ship something out from the warehouse, they're going to charge you for putting that shipment together, obviously. So for me, what I would like to switch out from is having anything sold from our site and just using like the OpenSkys and the Fabs and Hires and just to get the exposure. Because like I said, I'm not trying to build my own, big Amazon type site.
We're going to be really selective who we do e-commerce with, actually. For a more niche or higher end brand, it actually doesn't do us justice to be like everywhere, anywhere. So we're going to be pretty selective, at least in the beginning, for branding purposes, not only for logistic reasons, but we just don't want to be everywhere.
What about you, Anna?
No, we have a plan to keep on building up a market online. And of course we like brick and mortar because it's irreplaceable to have the object, touch it, see it, look at it, etc. So
I think that the advantage of the online marketplace is that it gives you the possibility to get that full retail value without doing the wholesale, and also to have the exposure that maybe our personal website doesn't have. So that, I think, is good to work through another channel because it gives you the power of being able to get that full retail, with maybe the different percentage that you take, sure, but it's not what wholesale normally is 50%, so it's not as dramatic as that. But.
And also for security reasons, dealing with people's credit card numbers, as time goes by, it becomes more and more delicate. So that's also good to know that there's some knowledgeable people behind that. So that's also, I think, in our case, important.
Well, I think we're out of time. Thank you guys so much for participating.